when I told you no such label exists, you said it was actually the media. So from a legal standpoint,
dude,
no one has designated
you're mixing
you
it
that.
up. That's not the case at all.
Okay.
What it is that I was saying
Tell
was
me again.
that what it is that I'm saying is that the DOJ has labeled numerous Trump supporters that were there on January 6th, and some people that weren't even there on January 6th, as domestic terrorists. And you
labeled
can
them
look
how
into,
and where?
and I'll tell you, you can look into the testimony of Stephen Friend, the FBI whistleblower who came forward and was talking about how it is that the FBI is designating these people as domestic terrorists and then handing these cases to FBI field offices all over the country.
Woke David Pakman gets destroyed by a very based MAGA guest on his own show. He kind of had a retreat with his little tail between his little itty bitty legs, like a little soy boy beta bitch that he is. And I also like to call him David Snake Man instead of David Pakman. And this isn't just any random MAGA guest. This is actually QAnon shaman. You know, I'm sure you guys have heard of him. He was locked up from J6. So, of course, you know, the leftists love to use and abuse and attack the right-wing movement in MAGA because of J6, obviously. So they get into a heated debate and he gets silenced. David Pakman gets silenced into submission, gets nuked live. Let's get straight into it.
Carried out by, tell me which groups it was again?
Well, it's actually, if you look at it objectively, you look at the setup that was very clearly there from a very early stage prior to January 6th, what you're going to find is that largely the parties responsible would be people like Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Yogananda Pittman, Mark Milley in the Pentagon, Christopher Wray in the FBI, and people in Antifa and BLM.
How do you know that any of that is true? What evidence do you have, for example, that Nancy Pelosi was involved in what happened that day?
Well, because if you look into the testimony of former Capitol Police Chief Sund, he had his emergency powers revoked by Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell prior to the January 6th events, and they had to go. He had to go through them in order to deploy the National Guard. And when he gave the written request for National Guard to be present, they denied it because it would be bad optics and there was lack of evidence. But the evidence was all there. He was just not given the evidence by Yogananda Pittman, by the FBI, and by the Pentagon. And that's according to his own testimony. That's also according to the testimony of former Capitol Police Lieutenant Tarek Johnson.
Reviewed their testimony and was not able to find that. It's sort of beyond the scope of this interview to look at it line by line. I guess big picture, Jake, why do you think that parties that supported Joe Biden would try to interfere with Joe Biden being made president? Why would they do that? It seems counterproductive, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is what you have to understand is that it was about creating a setup so that a psyop may ensue and the weaponization of the Justice Department, the DOJ, could then be used to go after Trump and his supporters.
But that's just a word salad, Jake. It doesn't address the crux of the question, does it?
Oh, David Pakman wants to talk about word salad. Isn't that what the left is known for? They say don't ignore your eyes, ignore basic biology when it comes to gender. We have all these new abstract theories that back up what we think, and you simpletons on the right are too stupid to get around our complex word salad theories. Yeah. What a hypocrite David Snakeman is, by the way. Make sure you subscribe. Posting 5 new videos every single day, like today's video. It really does help me out a ton. I'm close to 50,000 subscribers. So guys, help me get there and comment a snake emoji while you're at it because we like to make fun of him. Let's get back to it.
No, it does. It does.
How?
And just allow me to address it. So because of the events of January 6th, there have been multitudes, thousands of Trump supporters that have been labeled domestic terrorists. And
because they showed up and committed crimes, though, right? Or you're saying they were tricked into doing so?
But with respect, David, that's not the same thing as committing acts of domestic terrorism in the way that there has been acts of domestic terrorism committed, say, for over 200 days all over the country during the 2020 riots by Antifa and BLM, who claimed in their own on their own websites that they wanted to overthrow the American capitalist
that's
system
a non sequitur. I have to interrupt, Jake.
Who else cannot stand how smug and condescending David Snakeman is? David Pakman, the the smugness. I often see this a lot with leftists. They really think that they are above you. They look down on you and they think that you are just a stupid, racist, hillbilly redneck. That's how they view the right wing. Very sad and gross and quite frankly, annoying.
Because what you have to understand is, imagine that I was accused of attempted murder. It is of no importance whatsoever if a year prior, someone else somewhere else also tried to kill someone. I can't use that as my defense. And what you're saying is that part of the defense of what the people on January 6th did is your perception of what BLM did a year earlier. That's not a valid defense.
No, it's annoying how the government only in the justice system, or as I like to call it, the so-called justice system, obviously only targets people on the right. It's all the left wing knows how to weaponize and mobilize the justice system against people in the conservative movement. We don't see the same treatment when it comes to people on the left. Where are the Antifa where are the Antifa prisoners? Where are the BLM prisoners? It doesn't happen. So yes, people on the right are sick and tired of being gaslit into we're being gaslit that we are crazy for thinking that we're the ones that are targets of the government and of the justice system. No, it's actually true. January 6th is a perfect example of that. And the QAnon shaman, which I don't know his exact name, so apologies, I'm just being truthful here. He's being very kind and respectful to David Pakman, and he has a very valid point here. So just let me know what you guys think, by the way, in the comments below. Do you guys agree with me? Do you guys think, even if you disagree with David Pakman, do you think he has a point here? Please let me know. I'm very curious.
No, what I'm saying, dude, is this.
Okay.
What we're talking about here is optics. Okay. And they tried to make me in particular look as bad as humanly possible. They used all sorts of trigger words and trigger images to put a label on me and many other Trump supporters to circumvent our constitutional rights and to basically centralize power and use the levers of power in government to go after their political opponents.
Okay. Let me ask you a real practical question about that. You're talking about being designated domestic terrorists. I want to be super specific here because I really want to understand your view on this. These cases,
how is BLM and Antifa not designated domestic terrorists? Seriously, because there's a two-tier justice system, always serves the Democrats and always targets people on the right. So we know this. Stop the gaslighting, David Pakman. I'm sick of it.
Cases like yours were federal cases. There is no official designation of domestic terrorism by the U.S. federal government. So who labeled you as such and where?
The Mockingbird media did all over the news, number one.
I like that phrase, the Mockingbird media. I'm going to start using that. That was great.
And number two, are you telling me that
Also, a quick note, notice how people on the left, they don't have humor like that. They're not witty. They're so boring and they're so afraid of offending people. Besides people on the right, but you know what I mean. So they can never make good off the cuff witty jokes like that. So how sad and miserable would it be to be a woke leftist? Seriously, imagine.
And say the government is designating institutions like, say, the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers as domestic terrorist groups, or anybody for that matter that was flying into D.C. I don't know if you're aware, but anybody that flew into D.C. in early January of 2021 is now being followed around by the U.S. Marshals on airplanes, and there are no U.S. Marshals on the FAA the airplanes all across the country because of this label.
You're doing a lot of whataboutism and changing topics.
This isn't whataboutism. Let's
just try. Hold on, Jake. Hold on. Let's conduct this interview in a sensible way. Okay. Let's stick with one of the things you said. When we finish with it, we'll go to the next thing. Okay. You said that many of the people charged for their alleged involvement on January 6th have been designated as domestic terrorists by the weaponized DOJ. I then said to you, there is no such designation by the U.S. government in the legal proceedings that you're talking about. So what do you mean they were designated domestic terrorists by the weaponized DOJ? You said, well, the Mockingbird media did it. So are you ready on... Hold on.
You talked about me.
Let me finish the question.
You said who labeled you that, and that's what I'm saying. Well, the Mockingbird media did.
You first said that the weaponized DOJ issued that label. When I told you no such label exists, you said it was actually the media. So from a legal standpoint,
dude,
no one has designated
you're mixing
you
it
that.
up. That's not the case at all.
Okay.
What it is that I was saying
Tell me again.
what it is that I'm saying is that the DOJ has labeled numerous Trump supporters that were there on January 6th, and some people that weren't even there on January 6th, as domestic terrorists. And you
labeled
can
them
look
how
into,
and where.
And I'll tell you, you can look into the testimony of Stephen Friend, the FBI whistleblower who came forward and was talking about how it is that the FBI is designating these people as domestic terrorists and then handing these cases to FBI field offices all over the country, as instead of treating it like it was one incident on one day at one location. And in this way,
and this is precisely the researching tactics that the left refuses to do. They only research the studies that affirm what they already believe. It's confirmation bias at its best. They don't actually care about trying to see where people like us are coming from. It's frustrating. This is why I call him David Snake Man. By the way, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you guys so much. Comment an orange heart, helps boost the video in the algorithm, help me reach 50,000 subscribers. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below too, because I love seeing what you guys think. I read all the comments, I respond to a lot of them, check my past videos, so please let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.